Flo, before you go, who got the hottest fan base? United States or London?
Oh,
what do you mean?
Like, where's your
We have
hottest?
the biggest fan base here.
Yeah, our biggest
that's
is
all I
London.
wanted. That's all I
I
wanted
checked
to
the
hear
stats,
you
guys.
guys
It's 4 times as big. It's 4 times
But
as
yeah,
big.
but because the country's bigger.
Fair enough.
More bigger.
Fair enough.
They are. American fans are like so
100%.
diehard. They're just like,
Yeah.
Y'all, I don't really know if FLO has what it takes to cross over in the US, like to really become mainstream. 3 years have passed since their debut and their popularity has dipped. They experienced significant recognition early on, winning a Brit and receiving nominations from major US and UK award shows, following their first project, The Lead. And now it's kind of more UK buzz, but even that's kind of dipped a little bit. America in particular has historically proven to be a challenging market for international artists to penetrate. When considering Black female artists from the UK, it's difficult to name many who have achieved substantial breakthrough success, either in the US or globally. This poses a fundamental question. Why is it so difficult for the UK to produce a super huge, mega successful, globally renowned Black pop star like the US has time and time again? Before I get into it, I just want to note that I'm focusing on FLO's potential to break into the US global market, which means touching on the broader issue of the limited number of Black UK superstars and the systemic challenges within the UK that hinders their emergence. FLO comprises of Renee Downer, 22 years old, Georgia Douglas, 23 years old, and Stella Charisma, 23. The group was formed by Island Records UK and their then manager, Rob Harrison. Island Records approached Harrison, who was already in the process of forming a girl group, to help recruit potential singers. I'm not sure, but I think Harrison was already managing Stella and informed her about the audition process. During these auditions, she encountered Renee, an old classmate from Sylvia Young's theater school at Performing High School in the UK. Subsequently, the two met Georgia, whose prior recognition stemmed from her being on a children's singing competition, and I think she was also kind of famous on IG. Anyways, the three artists developed strong chemistry and persuaded the label and the management to be the final lineup of FLO.
And then us three was the next. I mean, obviously, we don't know how many other groups were put together, but we know that we were the last.
Baby, period. Yes. That's it. Yeah.
The group was official in 2019, but didn't debut until 2022 with Cardboard Box. This song gained significant traction on Twitter, with this music video being widely shared by everyone, like it was trending. Its popularity further increased when a Nigerian British DJ created an Afro Beats remix that trended on TikTok. This generated considerable buzz for the group within the R&B circles in the UK and in the US. Their debut EP, The Lead, was released in the summer of 2022, and they garnered significant attention during the 2023 award season, including in the US. Industry support extended further, with Rob Harrison leveraging his connections to secure co-signs from JoJo, SZA, and Missy Elliott, who featured on their song Fly Girl in the March 2023, one of their most successful songs to date. The future appeared promising for the group, but afterwards the momentum began to wane.
Exactly.
There are so many hurdles in FLO's way breaking into the US mainstream. The most significant challenges, in my opinion, appear to be, well, one of the challenges appear to be their music. Their music needs more development. While FLO's debut album was initially anticipated for 2023, it didn't materialize. The girls indicated that they weren't ready. In the meanwhile, they surprise released an EP called The Three of Us to kind of hold the fans over. And in between late 2022 and early 2023, the group signed with Republic Records via Uptown Records. This relationship led to FLO working with prolific American R&B producers that showed a different music-making process. From those encounters, FLO suggested that their music needed to be elevated to meet US R&B standards. This assessment wasn't entirely surprising, as UK R&B possesses a distinct soundscape heavily influenced by contemporary Caribbean and African genres.
I feel like we do, and we know that actually I think the key to our sound as well is the fact that a lot of us have this direct connection with our mother countries. We grew up with so much like African music, Caribbean music, Afro Latinx, if you what you want, the reggaeton. And I feel like what I love about the American sound, although that's maybe why we don't sound like that, is there is a bit of an American sound which comes from, I guess, the Black musical community that they've cultivated more on their own terms, which comes very much from gospel, comes from blues, comes from jazz. Whereas we've had access to that, but then we've also had access to Fela Kuti.
And since the girls are trying to do a Y2K American R&B sound, unfortunately the UK R&B isn't what they're aiming for. Furthermore, the black music industry in the UK doesn't receive the same level of support that we have in the US, resulting in a less robust infrastructure for black music. Looking at the promotional side of things, beyond the MOBA Awards, there is a notable absence of prominent black UK music award shows and dedicated R&B platforms, except for like Mahalia Presents and Radio 1 Extra, but I don't know too much about the black British music industry. If I'm terribly wrong, please correct me in the comments below.
Yeah.
The UK does need to step it up.
Oh.
Yeah. They do.
And ironically enough, from what I hear, UK rap genres like grime and drill are prioritized within its mainstream pop music over R&B. A somewhat similar situation that exists in the US, where R&B has seemingly merged with hip-hop, leading to conflicting reports on genre consumption. Some data indicates that R&B and hip-hop are the most consumed genres, while others highlight only hip-hop, suggesting that R&B is significantly underrepresented. The definition of R&B itself has also become just very convoluted, with artists blurring the lines between singing and rapping. Nevertheless, the R&B market in the US is considerably larger than in the UK. Moreover, the US as a global music capital presents an extremely competitive R&B landscape. Unfortunately, the nostalgic Y2K R&B sound that FLO is pursuing is also being explored by many other artists, some with arguably better music.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many more of you guys here.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have variety, and obviously R&B for us, like R&B came from over here, the ones that we love anyway.
Currently, FLO holds the distinction of being the only big R&B group that's signed to a major label and that is active at the moment. However, this may change with potential comebacks from groups like Chloe and Halle. Frequency just debuted and they're signed to Columbia. Siren, which is Candy Burrs' group, and OMG Girls is making a comeback. So time is of the essence. The girls need to get it together. Another hurdle I want to highlight is the girl group conundrum that's going on in the US. The US has not seen a truly dominant girl group since the Pussycat Dolls. I would say Fifth Harmony, but they disbanded right before they broke into the mainstream. The last prominent R&B group was Destiny's Child, and it appeared that Island Records aimed to create a contemporary version with FLO for the 2020s. However, Destiny's Child's success was multifaceted. Their signing with Sony occurred during the late 90s, a period when black music and groups were commercially successful and the girl power movement was gaining momentum. Destiny's Child used the soulful elegance of En Vogue and TLC's Edge to create their own lane. Their hiatus in the mid-2000s coincided with a period of industry divestment from black artists. In retrospect, given the sustained popularity of hip-hop, perhaps a group reminiscent of TLC would have been a better move. Alternatively, FLO could potentially emulate En Vogue and usher in a resurgence of R&B groups in the current decade. Studying En Vogue might be beneficial for them since they kind of navigate similar circumstances. But the American pop machine is so perplexing, no one knows what really works. Maybe it'd be better that the group model themselves after SZA. Right now, SZA is the biggest R&B act operating in the pop space, and she's the only one. And for the most part, she's doing alternative R&B, sometimes straight up pop. Even Chloe and Halle, the most popular R&B duo, did alternative R&B. Right now, it's not good enough to do pop and B, when all these pop artists are cramming in all these different sounds into one song or one album. FLO needs to stretch their palette outside R&B.
Yeah, emo FLO. Slightly alt FLO, and I'm so here for it. FLOMO. Yeah.
Regardless, there are considerable opportunities for an R&B group in America, and FLO's dedicated fan base is evidence of this existing demand for representation. The hard part is figuring out the winning formula. I can see them kind of being a mix between SZA, TLC, and En Vogue. You know, they should do something with those three blueprints. The challenges facing FLO can't be discussed without mentioning the UK's difficulties in globalizing black pop stars. It's not often for black pop artists from the UK to achieve international prominence like their US counterparts. Sade, Seal, Leona Lewis, Floetry, and LMI are perhaps the closest examples of black UK artists who have approached superstar status.
My name is Pink and I'm really hot.
Annoyingly, there have been limited in-depth research into the reasons behind the UK's struggles in launching black global superstars. The few articles I came across on this topic often emerged during the Black Lives Matter protests a few years ago, intended to offer superficial analysis. However, an article from Melon Mag features an interview with former music executive Charisse Beaumont, in which they provided a more critical perspective. Beaumont described a quote-unquote glass door facing black artists in the UK music industry, where many are unable to gain access to the opportunities necessary for success. She highlighted several key issues. lack of access to musical education instruments for many Black musicians, a sense of unwelcomeness due to racism within the industry's tendency to overtly sexualize Black women and market Black men as thugs, insufficient marketing budgets for Black artists, hindering their ability to compete with their white counterparts, a lack of diversity in senior management roles within record labels, the need for the UK industry to move beyond pigeonholing Black artists into the rap or R&B genres.
Damn, girl.
Beaumont's insights aligned with my concerns I had when watching Leanne Pinnock's documentary Race, Pop, and Power. Beaumont's points were a great source of validation for me because when I expressed my opinions in my Leanne doc review, some commenters dismissed my observations on race as a American projected a warranted racism. Further insights came from a Cosmo article discussing the perceived lack of marketability of Black female artists in the mainstream. This article pointed out the prevalence of light-skinned or mixed race women among the few Black female artists who have achieved global prominence from the UK.
And the younger artists that I've developed, there's also colorism that plays into that as well. So amongst the crop of Black women who do want to pursue a career in music, it is the lighter skinned mixed race artists who are chosen to then progress that. And then there's an even smaller crop amongst that who get to establish themselves.
Notably, the article presented stark statistics from the Being Black in the UK music industry report. Black women in the UK industry earn 19% less than Black men, 25% less than white women, and 52% less than white men. 80% of Black creators are dissatisfied with the industry's support. 64% had to ignore racist comments to progress in their careers. Keep in mind that these figures are a few years old, so things might have changed since then. And while digging even further into statistics, I found a 2024 UK diversity report that indicated that in 2021, England and Wales were 82% white and 18% other. And I think the Black people are in somewhere in that 18%, but nothing is defined. London had around a 50-50 split between white and other populating the city, with Black people being in that other category, although there is no clear percentage.
Because it's only the half of it.
However, in the UK music industry, Black personnel represented only 7.8%. In the US, the numbers look kind of similar, unfortunately. Back in 2021, the New York Times reported on the diversity of the US music industry. This was amidst the BLM protests, mind you. They mentioned a research study done by USC, a report done by Annenberg Inclusion Initiative at the University of Southern California, released Tuesday, examined the makeup of 4,060 executives at the vice presidential level and above, 119 companies of 6 types: corporate music groups, record labels, music publishers, radio broadcasters, streaming services, and live music companies. Among those executives, 19.8% were from underrepresented racial and ethnic groups, including 7.8% who were Black. Women made up 35.3% of the total. The report includes some stark findings. For example, among the 4,060 people in the study sample, the study found that for every one Black female exec, there were 17.7 white male execs.
Which is like the craziest thing to be able to say.
Underrepresented and Black artists are dominating the charts, but the C-suite is a diversity desert. Dr. Smith said in a statement, the profile of top artists may give some in the industry the illusion that the music is an inclusive business, but the numbers at the top tell a different story. Black executives fared best within record labels, making up 14.4% of all positions and 21.2% of artists in repertoire of A&R roles, which leads to working closely with artists. Black people hold just around 4% of executives roles in radio and 3% in live music. And according to the US Census data, 13.4% of Americans identify as Black. So there's a lot of numbers thrown around here, but the percentage, our ratio isn't too far off. The thing is, since there's more people in the US, 7% in the US or 13% in the US could easily be like around 30 million. As of right now, the total population in the UK is around 65.9 million, and 4% of people in England and Wales identify as Black, which comes out to be around 2.4 million Black people.
Oh, that's hard. I feel like I want to.
It actually is difficult.
It's difficult.
I feel like
in the US, we have around 400 million people. Around 13% identifies as Black. So that's kind of roughly 48.3 million. I don't know, like double check these numbers. But just looking at these numbers, you can tell which music industries is going to be more lucrative. Do you know what I mean? If you have a market of 40 million people to sell music to, that's a better chances of success. You understand? Additionally, BET International Queens of Music series featured Black female music professionals who worked in the UK industry. So there was one woman who specifically talked about how young the Black music industry was in the UK.
My dad was very musical. Sunday was music day, you know, where I'd come home from church because I have to go to Sunday school. That was part of the weekend routine. What people really need to understand about the music industry in the 80s and the 90s in particular is that there was no music industry for Black music. There was a complete disconnect. You might see a Black music artist pop up on top of the pops. That was through the sheer weight of what was going on in the underground.
So that, combined with the smaller Black population in the UK, along with the anti-Blackness, leads me to believe that these are the biggest factors that contribute to the challenges faced by the Black UK artists seeking global recognition. Unlike the US, the UK never had a Motown. You know, Motown played a crucial role in establishing major international Black stars and creating a blueprint for others to follow. While Black international acts existed before Motown, the label's consistent output normalized the idea of Black superstars as commercially viable. Seeing how an ecosystem of Black-owned labels with Black executives, Black promotional platforms, how they all work together to create international Black stars outside the major labels was astonishing. And this resulted in white-owned companies eventually co-opting our whole infrastructure. So for now, it's just a little theory of mine, but I also believe that not happening over in the UK is partly why there's such a disparity in Black pop stars not popping off in the UK as they do here in the US. The closest thing to a Black British global superstar that I can think of is Sade. She's the first person I think of. While possessing massive hits and a dedicated fan base, Sade's apparent disinterest in traditional pop stardom, marked by her reclusive nature, long hiatuses, and infrequent touring, is not conducive to an industry that demands consistent activity. And I just recently found this out, but when she dropped her debut album in 1984, she was signed to Epic Records over here in the US. So I think this is another moment where it's like the US, she had to kind of go over to the US to kind of pop off. You know, nevertheless, her enduring influence is evident.
This is that you're a fan of, is who's your biggest...
In life, Sade.
Mm.
Sade means everything to me.
Mm.
With her older songs experiencing renewed popularity in recent years, another global act I think of is Leona Lewis. Achieving significant success in the mid-2000s, Lewis's momentum unfortunately stalled due to her label management, Psycho. Her debut album, Spirit, marked a successful era, but her second album wasn't as successful. It only produced one semi-major hit, Happy. The only other notable song from that era was the Avatar theme song that she did. Then shortly after that, Leona's visibility diminished. Her label's inability to sustain her US presence might have partly been because the music landscape was shifting towards EDM and away from soul music. Some also suggest that Psycho was unprepared for her initial level of success, especially before the emergence of their biggest act, One Direction, so they didn't know how to handle it. Furthermore, her background as an X Factor contestant may have contributed to the lack of credibility in the US market, akin to the American Idol effect, where despite a successful first era, subsequent efforts fade. Like think J Hud, Fantasia, Ruben Studdard, great first debuts, and then they flop right after. Lewis herself expressed frustration with the lack of creative control, suggesting an overly controlled image and sound imposed by her label, ultimately hindering her long-term growth as a global pop star. And finally, I wanted to mention Ella Mai. So Ella is known for her 2018 summer hit Boot Up, and she also had a successful single, Trip. Ella was discovered online and signed to DJ Mustard's label, leading to a move to the US to pursue her career. She benefited greatly from the US music scene. Again, we saw this with Sade. It's like, I don't know, I think America just has more opportunities for just Black artists, but she moved to the US, she benefited from the music scene over here, she received extensive exposure on award shows, and she even collaborated with a lot of big artists on her debut album. When I tell you Ella was on every major award show in 2018, I'm not lying. Look up 2018 award show performances, she's there somewhere. Everyone knew Boot Up. It was crazy. However, like Leona, her momentum slowed down during her sophomore album, Heart on My Sleeve, which was released during the pandemic, limiting her promotional efforts. She also took a hiatus to focus on her personal life, putting her career on hold.
I took over a year off and cut you bitches some slack. Tell a friend to tell a friend. She's back.
Ella has since made a comeback with an EP released last year. However, her profile has since declined. The experiences of Leona Lewis and LMI are not unique to the Black UK artists. US R&B artists are also kind of experiencing the same challenges in maintaining career longevity throughout the 2010s and into the streaming era, coinciding with the rise of hip-hop and notably Afrobeats. It's ironic that while in the UK, it struggles to produce local Black global superstars, it's become a significant marketplace for launching global Afrobeats acts like Wizkid, Rema, Thames, and Ira Star, who often prioritize the UK market, contributing to their international success. These artists are performing at major UK venues, selling out the O2, they're playing major festivals, and it just raises questions about the support and visibility of the local Black UK artists. Now that I think about it, perhaps FLO could explore incorporating African sounds, building on the success of the Afrobeats, and it worked out well for the Cardboard Box remix, so, maybe there's some opportunities there.
Maybe.
Something to tap into.
We need to go to Nigeria.
No, we'd actually do that. Would be so cute.
While some Black British acts have achieved international recognition, the focus here is on those who sustain success in the US beyond a single hit. An honorable mention is the R&B duo Floetry, neo-soul singers who found greater opportunity in the US. Again, we see a similar pattern here. They secure an American record deal, collaborated with artists like Michael Jackson and Jill Scott, and enjoyed a successful career, best known for their song Say Yes and Butterflies. If you know, you know. What led to their end was interpersonal conflicts. But call me crazy, I don't think it's a coincidence that FLO has a similar name to one of the more well-known UK R&B girl groups in the US. It's evident that many of the Black UK artists who have achieved international recognition are mixed-race and light-skinned women, a factor likely noted by FLO's creators, as Stella and Georgia are mixed-race heritage.
My dad is German and my mum is Jamaican.
Oh, wow. And when you said...
I'm Mozambican.
I'm Nigerian and Jamaican.
Oh, wow. You guys are just a fucking melting pot.
Yeah.
This is significant as FLO has been put on a pedestal as the future R&B, and their whole mission is to show the UK music industry how profitable R&B artists can be and how the genre can be, and uplifting other UK Black artists by featuring them on songs, as tour openers, shouting them out. All these things are very commendable. However, the label's decision to promote an R&B group where 2/3 of the members are mixed race also subtly reinforces a perception of what type of Black artists are considered commercially valuable. Someone who can possess certain Black aesthetic traits but presented through a mixed race person, while Renee, who is Black, is part of the group, there's a sense that her presence might at times serve to legitimize the group's Blackness, or that's just what I think. Sometimes I think that Renee had to be there to kind of represent for all dark-skinned girls, but then also to solidify the group's Black identity. Listen, I'm not the biggest fan of Destiny's Child, but it meant something that they were able to be massively successful with predominantly unambiguous Black women, including having multiple darker skinned members. Most of the girls had broad features. That carries a significant cultural weight. So when FLO references Destiny's Child as passing the baton onto them, it feels somewhat superficial, it feels, it falls short in this context. More so, you can feel the otherness in FLO, them being created by white entities. Sometimes they come across as caricatures of an R&B group. Sometimes it feels like they are lacking nuance, which I can't blame them too much. They've never grown up with a Black group to emulate. The only one I can remember growing up with is maybe June's Diary, Cherish, and Chloe and Halle. Anyways, beyond the discussion of FLO's marketable phenotype, it's important to consider other strategies they're using to gain global success. FLO's branding clearly positions them as a live performance-oriented group, evidenced by acoustic versions of songs from their EPs and numerous live performances showcasing their vocal abilities. You can tell they put a lot of effort into the live performances. Oftentimes when they perform songs, it deviates from the tracks on the EP or the album. They have note changes, they have interpolations, they have samples included into it, and it's all enhanced by a live band. FLO's live performances elevate their songs to much higher levels. At times, I've grown to love tracks I never cared for listening to the studio version. Songs like Losing You got my appreciation after seeing them perform it live. FLO's also adept at social media. They're very present on all the platforms. They also do a lot of interviews. Twitter appears to be a special place for them to promote new music and videos and their singles. Twitter has become like the new hub for, not a new hub, but it's become the hub for fandoms. Plus, it's especially helpful for international artists like K-pop idols and Afrobeats artists. FLO also utilizes remixes extensively, with some songs from their latest album having 3 official variants: the original, the unlocked version, and the remix, featuring like a whole new artist that wasn't on the unlocked version, which helps with streaming and making connections, reaching out to new audiences, all that good stuff. While collaborations with R&B artists from both the US and UK, I really like, they're very positive. I do wonder at times if another reason why FLO does so many remixes is because their original songs aren't getting enough traction, which also raises concerns about their waning popularity, but that's neither here or there. At this point, if there's another version of the song outside the unlocked one, they need to be bomb. I'm talking about J-Lo, I'm Real featuring Ja Rule level of bomb, like that remix. Speaking of which, they are now dropping the N-word in their music. Why on earth? My God. Listen, I know they want to appeal to an American audience, and I've seen a lot of Black Americans respond kindly to it. However, I am very apprehensive about the N-word, and I don't think you have to pick up a racial slur to be down, Black or not. Like, do people in the UK even use the word on the regular? Like, I don't even know. But please, y'all leave the word alone. Okay, now moving on. FLO's focus on becoming a successful touring act is evident, with the group members stating that their definition of success includes sustained sold-out shows into their late 40s, a goal that seems achievable. Lastly, FLO's strategy for global success includes having multiple management teams in both the US and the UK, a structure typically associated with top-tier pop stars, suggesting FLO might have ambitious aspirations. Manager Rob Harrison firmly believes in their mainstream potential, advocating for a slow and steady approach rather than relying solely on hit singles. And according to their management, progress, particularly in building steady fan bases in the US, is positive. Island Records UK president Louis Brown echoed this sentiment, noting that the rapidly escalating and unusual and exceptional fandom in the US. While FLO's focus on becoming a significant touring act is a smart move and current indicators seem positive, there's a lingering sense of unease. Discontent among their UK fanbase has reared its ugly head at times, notably regarding the US-centric location of the album listening parties. Like when it was first posted, I remember seeing comments from the UK fans being very pissed that it was over here in America. The recent cancellations of the European leg of the tour didn't help anything at all. But of course, Renee, she had an injury, so she couldn't perform. What can you do? But it doesn't help, like I've mentioned before. And all this makes me question if the girls are being mistreated or overworked, although there's no concrete evidence to support this. Another concern I have is the lack of diversity within their core management and executive teams. Despite diverse producers and songwriters, the management and executives who have power over their careers are melanin challenged. And I'm wondering where the Uptown label fits into all this. Being a Black label, are they just helping with the music, or do they have weights on a higher level? In addition to all that, the presence of numerous entities involved in their management also raises a red flag, reminiscent of TLC's situation where multiple parties profited from the trio's success while the group themselves went broke. There are fan rumors of past discontent with management, suggesting that the song I'm Just a Girl is about their manager, Rob. It kind of adds more fuel to the fire in this situation. And this little clip where the girls alluded to firing their manager also doesn't help things.
Guessing your ex-manager done something dodgy.
Hella things.
Not dodgy,
No,
just
it's
bad.
just weird.
It's like wrong.
Yeah.
It's not for everyone.
Yeah.
It's not for everyone.
Being a manager is hard, and if you're not capable, then don't be a manager.
In conclusion, FLO has come a long way since Cardboard Box. I mean, they've signed to a major label who seems to be very invested in their long-term development. They've been a group for around 6 years. They managed to release an album. I mean, they're already on their second tour. Those are major achievements for a Western group nowadays, and they have a shot to go global or mainstream. They have a shot. I don't know if they'll be successful, but they have a shot. They also have a powerful American label behind them. They have a Black American label looking out for them as well. That can help promote them and help tune their sound. Honestly, I think the real measurement of their success is in their touring numbers. Although FLO has a lot going on for them, they have a lot working against them. Yes, they are backed by a powerful machine, but they are in an environment that's not accommodating to Black artists. The UK has issues with anti-Blackness. There aren't much Black people in the UK, much less Black people in executive roles in the music business. It's harder for people to understand Black artists or know how to market them without stereotyping them. We have similar problems over here, but I think it's a little bit better, but whatever. Plus in the UK, there's not much infrastructure for Black British artists to promote themselves. And on top of that, FLO's straddling 2 markets at once. To make music that appeases both markets could be difficult, and it could actually stretch them a bit too thin. All the activity can make anyone just burn out. And like I said before, they have to watch out on too many cooks in the kitchen, you know, too many entities trying to take their money.
I'm a fan of FLO. I really do like the girls, but recently the attention has shifted away from their talent to their actual attire. But people were saying how they missed their old style. Someone said, no shade, but I miss Lee Trigg, bad. Now, one of the group members, Georgia, responded to this and said, I don't. She actually triggered Lee, and she went on Twitter and she exposed the group and said they haven't paid her for her work. And in total, they have to pay over 57,000 euros. So if you actually convert that to dollars, it would be over $67,000. But apparently their team, their management did not pay the stylist what she was owed at the time. Now, FLO's management did eventually speak out. They said that they've tried to resolve the matter privately. FLO never had an issue with paying creatives before, up until recently. They recently got new management, and since then things have been a bit messy. And their former stylist Lee kind of put it on blast and said, I've never heard of 364 management. So basically 364 management is a startup company, and people found out that this company is actually run by Georgia's boyfriend.
But if FLO does succeed and they become this huge global act, they could crack the code in making Black British acts go global, and they could bring back Black girl groups for a new decade. I might rag on them a bunch, but what they represent is real important. I've bought their music and their album, and I can't wait to see them on tour, so I'm doing my part. But tell me what y'all think below. Can FLO become global? Well, as always, thank you for watching. Please comment, like, and subscribe.